We're still here in Miami. Coach Tony Dungy joining us for another segment as we get closer and closer to Super Bowl 54. And, Coach, this is a strange game for me because it isn't all that complicated to understand where the pressure points are. If the 49ers can run the ball the way we've seen them run it all postseason long, the Chiefs are going to have a hard time stopping them from scoring points. And if the 49ers front four can get to Patrick Mahomes, then the Chiefs are going to have a hard time scoring points, and if they can't, then it could be a shootout. I mean, it's very, very simple in the big picture stuff, and we talked earlier about the Chiefs. From the 49ers standpoint, do you think the Chiefs can slow them down? We saw them slow down Derrick Henry in the championship game. Can they slow down this 49ers running game?
To me, Chris Jones is such a key.
Right.
Chris Jones, to me, is like Bob Sanders was for us. That Chiefs defense we saw a couple of weeks where we just say, what's going on?
Right.
And he comes in, and against Tennessee, I don't think they were going to play him a lot. And then
things got a little dicey.
Derrick Henry got going.
Right.
He came in, made a couple plays, a tackle for a loss, disrupted the pocket, and now that second half he's in more and more. And so to me, his health is a big key. Can he play 50 plays, and can he give them that push inside? Because that's what they're going to need. If they can't stop that inside running, it'll be a long day. But to me, he and Tyrann Mathieu are the keys.
Yeah, your gut feeling, though, if he's there healthy, that you think they can at least slow it down to a degree.
I think he gives them more energy.
Right.
He just gives them a sense that we can do this. And that was missing during certain parts of the year.
What is it to you, just ex-defensive, brilliant mind, when you break down the run game of the 49ers, when you look at it, that just is like, that jumps out to you?
They're very precise at what they do. They block things a certain way. They have a good sense of what runs are going to be effective against each team. And then I go back to Bobby Turner. I played against – he's their running back coach.
He's a legend.
Played against Mike Shanahan, coach teams, and it doesn't matter. Hey, Terrell Davis, Olandis Gary, Tatum Bell, player after player after player would go in, and he tells them, hey, there's going to be a hole. You get one cut, and I want you to burst through it. If you dance, you'll be on the sideline with me.
Right.
And so those guys go in, and you see how hard they run.
It's no nonsense.
Whether it's Mostert or Tevin Coleman. Tevin Coleman was not a north-south guy in Atlanta.
Right.
And he's turned into that. He's made inside runs. So I think it's just a mindset that, hey, we're going to get a hole, and we're going to be effective, and you're going to run through it. The other thing I like to talk about with those guys, we always talk about defensive front sevens.
Yeah.
This offensive front seven, when you include George Kittle and Kyle Juszczyk, they've got as good a front seven blocking unit as anybody in football.
Yeah. How do you balance a defensive coach with, like, okay, I know we got to do maybe some creative things in the week of the Super Bowl. We want to throw a few curveballs at them, but not overdoing it.
Yeah, and I don't think you can throw curveballs, but I think it's what do we give up? Okay, we're going to have to commit. Tyrann Mathieu is going to have to be down there close to the line of scrimmage. We're going to have to get a tackler in there. How, are we going to cheat on Kittle? Are we going to cheat on Deebo Samuel? Are we going to cheat on Emmanuel Sanders? Who are we going to give up to get this running game stopped? And to me, that's what Kyle is going to have to figure out. Okay, this is what they're doing. Who's going to be the hot man in the passing game?
Right. Okay, so if the Chiefs have success in slowing down the running game, then the focus falls to quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, who had 8 passes against the Packers, who in the second half of the game against the Vikings hardly threw the ball at all.
Well, and that to me was a key. We were at the game, and he threw a ball that should have been intercepted.
About 3 of them.
And then he threw an interception.
Right.
And after that, it was like, okay, we are going to –
we don't trust you. You're out of the trust tree now. Right.
If they can do that, if they can get them where they don't just feel like, hey, we can mash these guys and run the ball, it's going to have to be a balanced game. It'll be interesting to see how the 49ers react and if they, in fact, go to letting Jimmy be creative.
And I think that the message that we detected, it can't be lost on the players, even though they say all the right things because they have to defend their guy. Internally, they have to be thinking, what's going to happen if we can't run the ball and Jimmy has to throw it and we get near misses, and maybe they won't be near misses this time around. Maybe Tyrann Mathieu pops up out of nowhere and picks off the ball, and it changes the entire complexion of the game.
And it also, they've been ahead in these games, and that is a big advantage to the 49ers style of offense. I remember 2004, I was at Indy. We're playing Mike Shanahan in Denver. We played them like week 16,
Yeah.
next to last game in Indy, and they ran the ball just like these guys run it. They kept the ball about 48 minutes. We didn't have it, and they beat us in Indy. 2 weeks later, they come back in the playoff game. We won the toss. We scored. We got ahead. Something happened. Third down play. We stopped them. And now all of a sudden we're up 2 scores.
Right. I remember the game. Yeah.
They
couldn't rebound. They couldn't keep up pace.
Now they're out of their element in that
Right.
type of game. So, again, how does the game start? Does Mahomes get going early? Do they get the leads? San Francisco has looked so dominant in these last 2 games. It's hard to think they have flaws. But then before that, there's all these last play of the game situations.
Yeah, they struggled down the stretch of the regular season. You know, one thing like you talk about the 49ers defense. I don't think people really give you credit for this, and I just want to kind of put this out there. Like the Seattle scheme and everything there really kind of originates from the Tampa 2 and evolved from there. I mean, with some of the coaches down there that I was with in Tampa and Monty Kiffin, and okay, it's Tampa 2, but they started to really become more of a cover 3 scheme. And I know you really ran more cover 3 towards the end in Indianapolis than Tampa 2. And kind of just talk about that.
What people don't understand, I think, about that whole concept is it wasn't cover 2 necessarily. It wasn't a coverage. It was a philosophy that we're going to be dominant up front. We're going to have these fast guys that we can rush 4 guys and get to the passer, and then we're going to play a lot of zone coverage. It could be all kinds of zones, but we're going to have 7 sets of eyes on the quarterback. We're going to not give up big plays.
Right.
So Monty Kiffin really perfects this. Gus Bradley comes to work for him, and then it morphs into
he goes to Seattle with Pete Carroll,
and then all the guys who came from the Seattle tree, now Atlanta.
Yeah, Dan Quinn, Gus Bradley,
and
right.
Robert Saleh,
the Jaguars
and the
coach,
Jaguars.
right.
And so San Francisco now does a lot of the same thing. It's 3 deep zone to a great extent, and a lot of that. And to me, that's going to be the key for Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes may have to throw the ball quick, but if there's a lot of zone, am I patient enough to take that short pass before the pressure gets there,
right,
and then make San Francisco do something they don't want to do necessarily, which is play man-to-man?
Yeah, right.
I get the impression you're leaning San Francisco in this one.
I'm usually wrong, so I do kind of think San Francisco has the better team, the more balanced team, but I really think the first quarter is going to really be a key. I don't think Kansas City can fall behind by 10, by 17 like they have in these. If they do that, they will not come back.
Yeah.
But Kansas City, if San Francisco wins the toss, defers, Kansas City scores the first time out of the box, it'll be very, very interesting.
This one's been a tough one for me to call, but I see the possibility of a repeat of Super Bowl V, where the MVP comes from the losing team, that the 49ers win, but nobody stands out statistically, and Patrick Mahomes is the guy who was the best player of the game, and they give him the MVP even though the 49ers win.
Wow, that's interesting.
Do you like that? Like, would you ever vote for the MVP on the losing team of a Super Bowl?
I don't think so, because I don't know how unless it's just such a dominant performance, but I don't see how you can be the most valuable if your team doesn't win.
Yeah, right. That's the way I feel about it, too. It's tough to make that call.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you hanging around for a full half hour with us today. Hall of Fame head coach Tony Dungy. We already miss our weekly days watching football. It'll be back here, though, before we know.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.